Assalamualaikum and very good morning. Welcome back to our show called What Happens Today. So today we'd like to share about what the important role that teachers need to play in our education fields. Today we have a lot of panels here. We have from the ministry, the teachers and the lecturer from our YPG, and also the parents. So teacher also a person who plays the important role to make the good nation and make the world a better place. Did you know teacher today facing a lot of work, tasks that make them stressful and make them to retire earlier. So what's the connection between today and the teachers? Today we would like to highlight a topic quite interesting to discuss on the teacher roles in facilitating in effective classroom discussion activities. Today we have a great panels here. I'm sure our panels here has their own opinion on this topic. Okay. Before we start our discussion, let me explain the detail about our topics. Teacher is a person who teach and also a manager in a classroom because they are responsible for planning, implementing, leading and evaluating the student in the classroom. So the teacher needs to be very creative to find ways how to interact the students and to work together to achieve effective classroom management. The research found that initiating and sustaining a lively, productive discussion are among the most challenging activities for an instructor. Davis, 1993. Without wasting our time, let's hear the talk from our great panelists here. We have YB Wajah from the Ministry of Education. We also have the lecturer from the IPG, Lecturer Koyim. We have also has the teacher from the SMK, which is Encik Zakwan. And also we have a great parents, which is Encik Wafi, Mr. Wafi. Okay. So let's hear about what the strategies that will help us to prepare for a lead effective classroom discussion from YB Wajah.
For the question, moderator. So, from my perspective, teachers need to give students freedom to form a group with their best friend so that they can point out the best idea among them. Teachers also has to set a guideline and example to give students some head start in the discussion. I think that's all I can think about for this question.
Well, that's a great idea from our YB Wajah. So let's hear the opinion from the teacher, Zakwan. How about you, teacher Zakwan?
Okay, before we start, I'm teacher Zakwan, which is school from SMK Danau Jaya, has been invited to discuss about this topic. Okay, thank you. Before we start, we need to know that the classroom conditions must be comfortable for the students and the teachers. Due to that, we as teachers need to make sure the classroom's cleanliness is clean as possible and pleasant to the eyes. You know that, pleasant to the eyes, if you look at that, your heart will melt and butterfly. If we don't do that, people who use the classroom will get distracted by the rubbish, by the smell of the rubbish, right? Other than that, as a teacher, what I am going to do is, I will do a well-planned preparation before the classroom discussion. I am going to make a draft for the topic that needs to be discussed in many ways, such as I will get some experiments, I will go some survey from other people's, right? The preparation, this way of preparation will lead me to make a perfect discussion and without any flaws, and also make the students understand the discussion very well.
Wow, that's nice. How about you, Dr. Koyim?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Irfan, right? So, first and foremost, I would like to thank you for inviting me to this discussion. So, from my point of view, the most effective strategies that will help us to lead an effective classroom is by looking at the students' interests first. So, as you know, we are already in a modern learning era which requires students to enhance their life skills, critical thinking, and decision making. So, in order to apply these skills to our students, we must find the most effective thing that could reveal their true potential. As an example, students nowadays are interested in spending their time using gadgets. So, we must take this chance to teach them new skills through their attentiveness. For instance, we can introduce to the students about information technology, also known as IT. So, as a result, the students will get interested in exploring more about the latest technology. At the same time, it will help the students to determine their ambition that maybe has a potential in the future. That's all from me. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we all agree about it. Are you agree, YB Majah?
Yes, I'm sure I agree.
I believe we all need here to opinion from the parasites. How about you, Mr. Wafi?
Thank you for the question. In my opinion, we should become an active listener so that we will get various useful information about an effective classroom. Furthermore, we as parents should give some perspective and opinion to their teachers to take their concern seriously. Do you all agree?
Yes.
Wow, that's nice idea from the parasites. Wow. Now let's move to another question. Next, the teacher also need to take serious about background noise. This is compulsory because the message can be delivered smoothly to the student. I have interest question from our viewer as a whole. They ask how to deliver a clearer message. As we know, message from the teachers is very important. Maybe Dr. Koyim has the opinion about this topic.
Thank you. That was such a good question. To begin with, we need to understand that the method that we want to apply will be different depending on the students. As for me, I'm teaching the students whose average age is around 20 to 30. In my case, the students may have already matured and can solve the problem by themselves. Otherwise, if there still had a lack of communication in my class, I will allow my students directly raise their hands and ask some question. By doing this, at the end of the class, all of the students could understand the objective of the lesson that we learned on that day. Other than that, I would like to introduce my method, which is I form my students into groups, and each group has a leader or a secondary teacher who will help me if there still has a student that didn't understand the lesson that day. At the end of the day, I'm sure there's no person that will worry about their study. Don't you think so?
Yes. A very wonderful question. Now, let me answer it. Delivering some message must be accurate and simple, so that the target students will understand the task. If teachers give a message through gadget, make sure to use a formal language so that the audience can understand the delivered message. If the message passed by the teachers head to head, then make sure the targeted students give his full attention and write a note if necessary.
For these questions, I like to share my opinion. As we know, communication skill is very important for a teacher as well. It is to make sure that the information from the topic is delivered clearly. Messages can be delivered clearly if we use suitable language for every age. As an example, I am teaching a 12-year-olds and below child. So I will use their language such as milk is as cucu. Just like that. I will make a more friendly language. Yes. So as a teacher, I need to learn how to master communication from all aspects like a clear voice and good intonation. For me, I will need to use children's language to make it more interesting for my students. Yeah, just like that. If I use a formal language for my students, they will get bored easily, right? So the topic cannot be delivered clearly.
Thank you. That's a very good question. From parent perspective, the issue of delivering message is always happen due to some factors. This can be avoided by prioritizing our perspective in our message so that the people will know about the main idea of our message. Other than that, to talk in front of people which have their different background, our voice must be clear to ensure our information can be shared by all the people. Do you think so?
Yes.
I have an interesting question from our viewers at home. They ask how to deliver the message clearly. As we know, message from the teacher is very important. Maybe Dr. Koyim has the great opinion about this one.
For this question, I would like to explain further based on my experience. From what I've been through, I can conclude that most of the students will enjoy the activity if the activity has the element of competition. So, the thing that we can do is create an interesting game which requires all of the students to participate. In that game, we can put a question that related to the syllabus of learning. At the end of the game, we can see which students manage to understand the lesson on that day and which students are not. So, based on the results, we can sort out the weak students and get some extra classes for them. Somehow, this action may help them to improve their grades. So, for those who got a good results, we can give them an award to cheer them up and perform at the next class. So, what do you think? Isn't that a good idea?
That's a very good idea from Dr. Koyim. I will agree with that since students really like to compete with each other. But I disagree at part where you say you just reward the winner group, only since it can affect the students' morale. School is not competitive, so if you want to do something like that, make sure to give all of them prizes. Or if you're short on money, don't reward anyone. A big applause to the winner is enough.
Wow. It's a hot topic today to discuss. Next opinion from the doctor and YB. We need to take 5 and we will continue after the commercial break. Let's go. Okay. Welcome back, guys. So I'm pretty sure we are here are ready to listen more and deeply about our discussion today. So let's hear the point of view from the teacher Zakwan.
For these questions, I have do many activities for my students. One of the examples is I am using the brainstorming activity before the discussion starts. Brainstorming activities is just like you write some keywords on the whiteboard and you call students and make them tell about what they understand about that word. Okay. We also create cheerful moments in class that will lead to an onboard discussion. Next, I will do the Jenga questions activity after the class ends. Do you play Jenga?
Oh,
Yes.
I play.
Jenga is like a tower with board, right?
Yes.
So there each
Wooden
block. Block, yes.
Yeah.
For each block, I have write questions. So if the student take the block as well, and you will get the question and answer it.
Oh.
Yes, you will make the students think fastly. This activity will make students more motivated to become more focused during the discussion. And again, this game will make cheerful moments during the discussion.
Next question from our main Facebook page. Teacher Azmi asks, what are some activities that make the discussion not boring and lame? I think our panel has the best answer because nowadays teachers need to be prepared teaching aids to attract the students. Do you have any idea, Mr. Wafiq, as from the parent side?
Okay, thank you, Ifan. I think the question is very important to the student. So I think, me as parent, I think it is important to give student permission to bring their own gadgets since our surrounding is characterized by gadget. The teachers is to control.
I think teacher has the best opinion for this one since he is the person who teach the student. What's your best answer, teacher?
Thank you for giving me space to answer this question. To be honest, I disagree about what Mr. Wafiq just said right now. As a teacher of primary school, I don't think they will use handphone properly. Maybe they will go play games instead of using them for studying. So, the implement that is really suitable for primary school student is using television or LCD to make a presentation or any discussion. However, the school still needs to limit the usage of television in case the student is still naughty and use the television out of class hour.
Wow, that's interesting to be here. The teachers out there can take this advice from the teachers and try to implement in their classroom. So, Dr. Queen, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I'd like to add something. As I said just now, actually, the learning process is depends on who your students are. As for me, most of my students were already mentioned. So, I think there shouldn't be a problem if I ask them to bring their gadgets to my class. I'm sure they will use their gadgets properly since most of my tasks involves their gadgets using. So, if there's still as a student who use their device in an inappropriate way, they should know that they will miss out on my lesson in that class. So, using gadget isn't a problem at all, but it's important for us to know is it useful or not for our students to use them in our class.
There's a very good discussion between all of you. I think I will issue this in the next parliament so that we can give permission to suitable students and make some program to support some students that are unable to lend their hand on the gadget.
We feel more excited because they will learn something new from the technology instead of learning using textbooks. For example, when the teachers use technology in lesson like quizzes, Desmos, so the student will be happy and like to study in the classroom. Students become curious to know how to use the application, so this can avoid the student be boring and sleepy in the class. Nowadays, students like to play or watch something rather than to do a reading. That's why I think by using a video clip or any application, it can make students feel more enjoyment and focus on learning. Can someone give an example how to be prepared with relaxation techniques? Mr. Wafiq, have any ideas?
Okay, from my point of view, I like to share a technique, which is we can sit and lie down in a quiet place. Take a deep breath through your nose and breathe out slowly through your mouth. Do you think so?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, I like these questions really. I really like. So my suggestion is to do some breathing techniques with all the students together. So I will invite them to do it with me. I will say the whole class like 1, 2, 3 in. So I will do that. I will inhale with my nose and with them also. After that, I will make a hand sign and show 1, 2, 3 out. Just like that. And we will exhale through our mouths together. So this technique will give a refreshing moment for me and for my student in the area.
I'm sure YB Maja has a great idea based on past experience.
So, as the former teacher and lecturer, the important part in relaxation technique is to leave behind all the personal problems so that your days cannot be affected by the heat from the household problem. It is important for teachers and lecturers to stay calm when giving lectures to students. The students also need to give their best attention so that the teachers or lecturers not feeling lonely when the study session is on.
Alright, this is a very good question actually. For me, my routine is I will do some basic stretching before entering the class. The stretching shouldn't be so hard until it makes you sweat, but just do some basic exercise like move your hand, your leg or your head. And by doing this, we will be more energetic and feel happy to teach the class. I'm sure if the teacher teach their students happily, the students will catch the lesson easily and cheerful.
Okay. Well, I think that's all from us today. Thank you for lending your ear and in our discussion. Now, we all know that there are a lot of strategies that can be used to achieve an effective classroom discussion. However, we need to support our teacher and always lend our sense to the teacher during classes. Thank you for watching our show and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.